So, all right. So, good morning, everyone. This is our June 23 town hall. This will be the last one before conference, and then between just the season and vacations, we're gonna hold off until September. So, Pratt can't hear. Oh no. I hope you can start. So, all right. So a lot of stuff to cover. I'm going to start, and I want to make this a little more interactive. So if you want to open up your chat, I'm going to ask a question. We're going to do a little icebreaker. So I'm going to ask, I want to see how you guys respond. What is your bucket list destination that you want to go to? So I'll put mine. I want to go to Ireland, Scotland again. So we got Australia. Who else has got Italy? Allie, you never been to Italy? That's crazy. We got Fiji. We got Japan. Fiji would be cool. I've been to Japan. That's also fascinating. John Aaron, you don't have you been everywhere? Utah, Yosemite, Tahiti. We got Tahiti. It's cool. Who else has got something? All right. Well, Dominican Republic. Teeth of the dog. I'm gonna play golf there.
Yeah, I've played it several times. It's great.
Is it? Oh, we got Alaska. Yeah, it's gonna be 105 in Texas this week, so Alaska would be nice right now. So, all right. Well, let's get going. And again, I'm going to be asking some questions throughout the presentation. So I may go through the chat. If you have questions, feel free to go through there as well. So morning, we got Ann Jensen, we got Bert. So guys, I in the chat, I asked your bucket list destination where you'd like to go. So if you want to chime in there, let us know. So I'm going to be doing a couple of polls, asking questions as well, but if you have questions, let's use the chat and try to make this interactive. So I want to start with really the elephant in the room right now, and just for the last few years. And I think when I talked, we got a question. Brad said Thailand. That's another one. Okay. Inventory. And so inventory continues to be an issue is what we're seeing. If you look, I reviewed this with the FAC on Friday, but if you look at where in the last, since just comparing it since 2019, you saw 2020 a bit of a dip, but the big one was 2021. You saw a bit of a recovery in 2022, and 2023 it's better, but this normalization that I think you keep hearing, oh, there's a big increase. The reality, it's not nearly what it was 4 years ago. And if you kind of look historically where we are, it's still, if you look at weeks on, months on hand of inventory, which is one of the metrics that NAR looks at, it's still significantly lower. And, I looked through some of the FAC, I looked at the FAC, we just took a look at their markets. I know Charleston county isn't all of Laurel's territory, but you see just dramatic decrease in 2021 and 2022. It really bottomed out. It's coming back, but it's still extremely low. You look at the whole, that Philadelphia, that whole metro area, significantly lower. It's still not coming back. It's still very flat. Now, I think the larger amount of homes just typically are going to be that lower priced. We normally look at that top 25% of home value. So a lot of the numbers are going to be skewed towards that, but I think it's still the reality, it's low. And so Raleigh, a little bit better than some markets, but still below normal. And if you just compare this, across the country, it is significantly lower. I mean, that's the bottom line. And so that's thing, I think we have to accept and, just really take a step back and think about, how do we address that? It's also impacting realtors. I mean, realtors have been our bread and butter for years. This shows you growth in realtors. What's interesting, you see this big crash, like early 90s, 2008, right when I joined. This is this is kind of if you look at when the home manager model really took off, it does well in just severe, bizarre crashes. But I think what we're seeing is you saw a massive increase, people jumping on the bandwagon to get in the real estate market after COVID, but you're seeing an equal amount leaving, and you're seeing a decrease for the first time in realtors in many, many years. Now, I think you're still going to have, you're still going to have your core realtors, and, one of the impressive things is we're up this year in spite of all this Debbie Downer bad news. So you guys have done an awesome job in growing your business, building your brand, and really continuing to build those relationships. But I think we have to take a step back and really discuss, how do we expand, a wider net? I think we talked a lot about the dreaded pivot word during COVID, but I think we also have to potentially look at what are we doing to pivot at this point, because the market is difficult in a lot of ways. And so in the past, we really focused almost exclusively, for the most part, with the realtor relationship. And so that's been great, but you've got people leaving the market, it's a competitive space, and you've got limited listings in a lot of areas. We've done new builders, construction, so that's another market that we think has a lot of potential. Short-term rentals, and so I know a lot of you are getting into that, but I don't think any of these, if you just look at the data download reports, have any type of penetration levels compared to the realtor relationship. So competitors are starting to adjust. This is Model My Home in Dallas. I think it's kind of funny, they've moved to a real estate services company. I think they stole our thing, our branding. But they've got Model My Home for staging, Model My Properties for commercial, for building multifamily, and then they've got Model My Stay for the entire short-term rental market. So you take a look at the short-term rental market. I know there's some areas where there's legal implications, they're trying to outlaw potentially. But I think that the horse is out of the barn, as they say, and it's continuing to have very big growth. Especially you saw a slowdown in COVID, but you're seeing massive growth in that whole space. We are going to have, and this is one of the things I was going to announce today, our keynote speaker at conference is going to be Audra Slinky, who I know she's extremely well known in the staging space. We paid for you guys to do her e-design class. She has a new one on vacation rentals, so she's going to talk about that business and how to grow it, but she's also going to talk about other things, so how to market your staging business, etc. So she's going to be a really good resource for us. And I sat
Matt, look, let me just I liked your slide a minute ago with the casting the net, and one of the things that to me is an important piece of the puzzle is to consider that none of us have significant market penetration. If you think about the number of homes you do in a year versus the number of listings out there, we're only capturing a very small amount. So in addition to these other things, I think we need to look at what can we do to up our market share. Well, I don't think anybody is above single digit percentage of market share at this point. So how much room do we have to grow that over time?
We're on the same wavelength, because I have that in the second part of the presentation. So we're going to talk about this. So again, if you want to take her Airbnb program, you can, but she's going to show you a lot of the basic details and the tools that they provide. But I think that's clearly a piece. The builder market, I think there's more people doing it than we realize, but it's still, you just look at the numbers, it's still below averages. It's not keeping pace with the demand. One area that, and this kind of was startling to me, it looks like 75% of homes are 30 years or older. And so that's, I think, that plays into what we do, just as far as not only staging, but for the update markets, and that whole business is really continues to flourish. So I want to take a second and just do my first poll. Well, let's start with number one. I'm going to launch this. Let's talk about home inventory levels. Let's go there. So what's the state of home inventory in your market right now? So let's take a second if you could vote. So I'm seeing either below or drastically lower than normal. I'm seeing no one at normal or above. Okay. So I think we're clearly at a point where inventory is a problem. It's something we need to address. I also want to look at the next one I want to launch is regarding not coming up. Okay. I don't know what I'm going to do. I was going to ask about something. Let me restart this. I was going to ask about your customer business mix. Well, that didn't work. And let's do this. Why don't you tell me right now in the chat, since my poll isn't working, your business mix percentage for realtor, based, realtor referrals, builder, and short-term rentals. So Laura Lee, I think, did you say like 80% of your homes contracted on our call the other day were builder? Is that right? A pretty high number. No. Oh, wait. Okay, I see.
Sorry, I was on a mute there. Had to figure out.
All right,
how to
I'm
do it
able,
on my
by the way,
phone.
I'm able to, I just started this poll, so sorry, let's do the poll.
That's all right.
If you can vote, what's your current mix of business for your contracted homes right now? If you don't know, give an educated guess. We can give it another 30 seconds. So if you haven't voted, if you could vote, that would be good. Okay, so I'm going to share the results. So it looks like 88% is the residential staging design realtor referrals, 13% home builders, and 0% short-term rentals. So who's doing home builder work? Who's the one person? John? Okay.
Matt, that only let us choose one thing. It didn't let me choose more than one.
Oh. Well, that's unfortunate. Okay. Let's go back to the, okay, I'm gonna go back to the chat, never mind. Okay, so Chris says 90% realtor referrals, Dr. G, 80% flippers, Laura Lee, 60% builders, John's 30% builder, or 30% realtors, 50% builders, 20% updates. Monica's a third builder investor, and then Laura's 100% realtors. Monica's 50% repeat realtors. So, a couple of thoughts. One, no one's really doing short-term rentals. So is there opportunity there? I sat through a 30-minute webinar that Audra did, and she's like, it's right in your wheelhouse. Not a lot of stagers are focused on it. It's a natural, Pratt 70% repeat, realtors. So let's see, another one. Units or revenue. I think I was looking at units more than revenue, but what are your thoughts? And I'm just curious, what are your thoughts about short-term rentals? Is there opportunity there? Has anyone done it successfully or unsuccessfully? Is there opportunity to cast the net into another area like that?
We've done one and we're bidding on another one. So there's definitely opportunity for us.
So when you say you're bidding, are you going to be selling them inventory or just renting them, like staging?
We're quoting an interior design fee of 5,000 and then cost plus markup on any of the furniture that we buy.
Okay,
This is Shelley. Can I say something?
sure.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to say, so our short-term rentals, we've done several. We've done quite a few actually. And what I have found, and I know Pratt breaks that down and I can't give you the numbers on it because he's not with me here today. But I know that in the beginning it was very difficult to be profitable on that. But what I found was I do not go out of my home to shop for anything. Everything I buy for short-term rentals is nothing's out of my inventory. Everything is purchased and I buy everything online. So that saves me a lot of time driving from one place to the other. I'm able to get on to my normal websites. I shop at Amazon, I shop at Wayfair, where I get fairly good deals. And I keep my time to a minimum. So I schedule a certain amount of time to be on there and I purchase the items I need. And then every time I try to go with my, lower and lower because I try to use the same items. So I don't know if that helps or not, but I know that there's, one time we had a guy that worked with us and he was awesome. I loved him, but he was a designer and he would go from store to store to store and we made nothing because of his time. And so that's the biggest thing that I have felt that has been able to be profitable is cutting my time that I'm spending on it.
Okay. So do you think you'll start to look at that in the future? Or is that just, have you decided that it's?
No, I love doing them. They're a lot of fun. We've got, several people that we've worked with over the past, and I know they want to do more. I don't know, it's kind of weird. We really don't advertise. I mean, we advertise it, but we just are more known for our staging and design services. And so we get several a year. But I would love to do more. And I'm super excited that you guys are having Audra.
Yeah, she's awesome. Yeah,
She's wonderful.
you
Yeah.
look at the winners at RISA every year, that's the best stager. They're almost always from Audra's group. So she's
Absolutely. She's great. So
her son also is at TCU second year, so she'll be moving him in again. So the timing was good. So who else has done some short-term rentals and has some feedback? Doesn't look like much. So we'll tell you, I think I want to keep going. I do think there's some potential there. I think having Audra to show us and teach us how it works is going to be really helpful. So as far as the other areas, before we kind of move on, builder business, it looks like quite a few of you are doing builders, but who's having good luck with builders right now, and can you maybe walk us through how you're doing it and how you're building those relationships?
We joined the Dallas Builders Association about 3 months ago.
Okay,
So, and Frank, my sales guy, goes to a number of their events and just networks. But we've got probably 8 builders that are moving just from one job to the next, to the next, to the next, and we're getting virtually all their business. In fact, we feel good about the builders, but there's obviously a lot of opportunity for us to build the realtors. So we're focusing on some marketing efforts on that front as we speak. But the builders, if we do a good job for them, they're just using us again and again. And average days on market for these guys is ridiculous. It's under a week, so they love that too.
awesome. So Shelley says they're in the Greater Houston Builder Association. Is anyone else in a builder association locally? I'll put that in the chat.
We used to be, but for us didn't really work out.
Okay. So you didn't get business out, okay.
No, we didn't. We went like for 2 years, pretty active, all their events, volunteer and everything, but it's just kind of weird things in our area with the builders. They have their own in-house, plus our famous Duel that has kind of monopoly on that. So on our area didn't work that well.
So Liliana, I know you jumped up a little later, but did you, we were talking about short-term rentals. Are you doing any Airbnbs or anything right now?
No, we did few in the past. Right now, dried up completely. I don't know if you see that there are a lot of advertising that they can do like for $200 the full design of Airbnb. Plus, it's just they are cracking down on Airbnb. So I guess is there less Airbnb, new Airbnb on the market.
Okay. So Laura Lee, you're at 60% builder. You want to walk us through kind of how that works with you and how you've been able to tap into that market? I think you're on mute. She's still there? Oh, I think, yep, she's on it. Laura Lee, you still there? He's on. Hey there, okay. So you want to walk us through your builder business and how things are going there?
Yeah, so we've had relationships with builders for years and years. And of course, that sort of dropped off in the COVID timeframe when the market was so hot. But luckily, those builders, when they were ready for us again, they called us back. So I think we are working with 4 builders right now. And one of them, particularly, we do a lot of work with. And then we've recently added.
Where you broke? Who did you just add? I think we lost you. We're sitting in suspense.
That we had formulated years ago.
Hey, Laura Lee, I think we may be in a bad cell. It sounded really good though. All right. Well, let's touch on realtors in general. So are you guys starting to see realtors drop off or either retire or quit? Is that starting? Are you seeing a shrinking in the real estate market with realtors? Is it steady? You can put that in the chat if you want.
So let me chime in. Nobody says anything. Can I?
Yeah.
Okay, so we are affiliates in a realtor organization, local realtor organization. And we sponsor, like we are there with to welcome the new realtors. There are a lot of new realtors, so I have no idea the news, what they are saying. But there are like 130 new realtors sign up for that little organization in just 1 month. So they have to do the orientation. So I don't know what to say. So the transactions are less and less, but the realtors more and more. So I don't know how they do it.
Okay. So we've got 2 new people who are on the call with 2 new franchises. So what are some ways they can get houses? What are you guys having success with right now? What would you recommend to them since they're new in this market?
I would say lunch and learn in the offices. That is the best exposure they can go. So go lunch and learn in the offices.
Okay.
So get contact the broker and be able to bring lunch. So it's not inexpensive, but it's just usually we get 1 or 2 contacts always from one of the brokers, and even if they don't use you, they give the name around. It's important to have something to offer them, to tell them why they should work with you, and stay in touch with them. So that it's what worked for us.
Okay, awesome. So Chris Gulliver, are you guys still doing the open houses that you cater, or has that slowed down since COVID?
Yeah, not so much open houses anymore. We try to do office realtor broker office presentations. When we do stage a house, we do always go to it, and it's the best way for realtors to see our samples of our work. But for us, just going, we have what they call caravans, where all new houses are on the market. And we go to there because you kind of have the realtor on in the captive audience. They're there, and they can come in, see our work, or we go and see them at their home. So that's a good lead generator for us.
So you're saying you're still 80% of your business with the same top realtor brokers, and it sounds like, Monica, that's similar to you as far as your business. And so, we often talk about 8 or 10 realtors can give you 80% of your business, but I know, Chris, you had that guy who spoke last year at a conference, I forget his name, but he gives you a huge amount each year. But I mean, what are your core referrals? What's the number, would you say? Is it 8? Is it 4?
Talk about repeat referrals.
Repeat realtors. Who are the ones who are really helping you continue?
Repeat referrals is the majority of our business still.
What's the number? Like, if you had just off the top of your head.
You're talking about units or sales?
Well, no, I'm just talking your core,
the number of agents that
your fans, your core fans that you work with.
We have probably a couple dozen that continue to refer business to us.
Okay.
20 to 24, 5, something like that.
You're hearing from them regularly. So are there things that you do to continue those relationships, to let them know that you're still around or show your appreciation?
Yeah, I mean, it's just really, they know our quality of work, and they know our service. We just do our best to solve any problems as quickly as possible, and they're our top agents, and we let them know that, and if that means staging quickly or destaging quickly, whatever it takes. And it involves staging some of their properties that may not be in our territory either. So that's a part of it too. We do the business, however we can to make them happy.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll take, I want to keep moving, but, casting a wider net, think through on other ways that you can grow different parts of your business. And so, this may be something we talk about at conference. The reality is we don't have anything targeting builders or short-term rentals on our website. We don't do SEO for it. So, I think that's a conversation we need to have. Do we need to, create sections for it? Although, each franchisee may or may not offer those services. So it's spreading the word that we offer that may be something, we discuss. So let's, I want to shift gears, review this with the, with our FAC on Friday, and they seem pretty intrigued with it. And so I was debating whether this is a tool that you guys could use, but they seem to be pretty enthusiastic. And so, we've got the, we've had the ops report as a core tool for years. And I think that's something that is our most clicked on item when we send out newsletters. But, we really want to try to find something similar that focuses on the financial aspect of the business. And so we've got, you can review P&Ls, we've got Profit Keeper, but what is something that on one page can show you the health of your business? And so what we put together for the first time is a real top performer benchmark. And so what I did is I took a look at our 4 most profitable franchise locations. And then we looked at what are the core ratios that really drive performance. And, I shared some of these at conference, but we've been working with the FAC. And, if you look through these, there's gross revenue, you clearly, you have to hit a certain level of revenue to get to break even. There's inventory dollars. So that's a big, when I look at a lot of the franchises, low, not enough revenue is an issue, but also inventory, whether it's too much, not enough, but inventory can really have a huge impact on your profitability. Inventory to sales, that's your inventory divided by sales. The core is 1.6 is what we try to do on that ratio. Rent to sales, that's your total warehouse or any kind of rent divided by sales. Moving auto expenses, we've got at 21%, and that can, I've got people at 50% or some huge number. Revenue per employee, do you have enough employees? Do you have too many? Your advertising, we didn't do a percentage. This is the average that most locations are the top performers are spending. And if you look at those are, Raleigh's a single, well, these are all multi-unit locations, but that'll give you an idea. Repeat realtors, we've talked about the importance and tracking versus the average. We've sent out a few things on this, and that'll be one of the that's one of the new KPIs that we're still working on in FranMan, but we think that's important. Your NPS score, people who are drastically lower on repeat realtors and NPS, they go hand in hand. And so your update margin, people cost at 20%, is what we're seeing as the average, and the owner benefit. And that's going to be your income, your net profitability, your owner, salary, depreciation, car, entertainment, travel, etc. And so,
Matt, before you go any further, I'd point out that the benchmark on advertising is probably significantly understating what it takes depending upon the phase of business you're in. These performers have all been around 10 plus years and have a loyal fan base. If you're trying to build in a newer operation, you should expect to spend more to start getting that stable of realtor raving fans.
Right. Absolutely. So what I've put together is for each location, and I'll be sending this out this week, but you've got we've taken your P&Ls, and then we've reviewed these top ratios, and we compared them to a top benchmark. So this is our most profitable location on the left. You know, if it's black, that means it's positive, red, it's red, you know, there's an issue. So, you know, look at this location. Their inventory is probably a little low, you know, their turn is pretty high. They probably need to have a little more inventory for $1 million business. Advertising, it's a little low for a multi-unit, but again, they've got tons of fans and their business continues to flourish. The repeat's good, their NPS is perfect. Updates are really low. This is someone who doesn't really like to do updates, but you're losing money. If you might as well not do it at that point. Their labor is a little high. So here's a location, you know, owner didn't make it recently, a lot of health, you know, it's of course health issues, but it's also, they admitted they put their head in the sand and weren't managing their business or following it. So you just see, you know, their revenue, you know, very low. They're not advertising much. Their repeat business is half of, you know, just 50% less. I mean, this is bleeding cash. This is a plane that's about to crash. And so, you know, understanding your financials, we don't want you to be bookkeepers, but, you know, I think the key piece of this is you can look a few times a year and within 5 minutes, you can see what's going on in your business. And so just like an MRI is a diagnostic tool, this is what, you know, the goal is that this will be a diagnostic tool for your business. And for you, for, you know, our ops team, and just to have an idea where you're going. And so we've also split this up and so you can take a look at each specific ratio. The yellow is the benchmark and see, you know, how you compare. You know, I know Bert prefers just to look at the top level spreadsheet. I know Pratt would probably like that as well. But for you guys, I think having some kind of graphic is helpful. You know, here's Coral Gables, who, you know, that's, I think it's a secret, that's who I've been showing all along. But you can get an idea of how well they've done, but also we split their inventory up. They're not doing a lot of updates. Their primary focus is staging. And that's one of the things I'll share when I send this out. We got too many people with large amounts of revenue for others. So we need to reclassify those so you can understand it and we can understand where this is. But, you know, I look at a location also, you know, that struggled a long time, you know, North Shore. They never moved from the, you know, the home management business, which is a business that is slowly eroded. And so, you know, it's just like a pilot. You've got you know, they've got a dashboard to fly safely and they're following that. I mean, that's the, you know, something like this is what we're looking at. And you also have alarms going off or you're going to crash. And so I think this tool could also share that with you also. And so, you know, we recently sent this out in a newsletter, but Profit Soup is a financial education program that we're going to pay for everyone. And I know they're like, I don't have time for this. This is, you know, you don't know your numbers, you don't know your business. And so this is 3 hours. You can do it at your pace. We'd just like you to do it by the end of the year, but just understanding what is break even, you know, how do you get to, you know, to break into profit. And, you know, this is a tool a lot of franchises use to, you know, great success. And so I think it's fun, as fun as you can make this. It's not very dry like you think bookkeeping is. And it's fairly simple. Emily, you're the first person to take it. You want to kind of share your feedback so far? I know you're in the middle of it. And
yeah, I was gonna say take might be a understatement. I mean, I started it. I haven't gotten past the first unit, but I mean, it starts out very, very basic, which is good for me. A little yeah, I haven't I feel like I'm not actually going to give you very good information right now because I got to go back and restart it again. But from a layman's standpoint, if you really don't, you know, you really do need a good overview of business financials. So far, it has been good from that regard. I can't talk about its entirety.
All right, well, you're still in the middle, but I know
Yes,
that
for
was
sure,
one of
yeah.
your.
It's
that
on my
was one
to-do list to just sit on and bang it all out in one go. So I think that'd be the best way to maybe do it.
I think in the future yeah, I think in the future we'll have this, you know, as part of the training, and when you have time, when you haven't already opened. And so I think
yeah, I think that's a good idea for sure. For sure.
So
yeah.
All right, I see a question. Let's see. Well, someone asked to do a poll, so I'm going to do a poll. So let's do. Okay. I'm going to ask you guys, let's see, how often do you review financials, P&Ls, KPIs? So if you can go on here and vote. Got a weekly, a monthly, quarterly. Annually. So looking at your P&L, I feel like it's kind of like going to the gym. You know it's good for you, you should do it, but other things come up and we don't end up doing it. Especially me. So it looks like over a third do weekly, which is good. Monthly, so quarterly 27, annually 9. Anyone else not voted yet? Yeah. So I'll share the results. Let's see. So I'm going to do what Monica asked. Let's see. Ask how well do you know your numbers? Okay. One last poll, or let's see. All right, how well do you know your numbers? Great, poor, fair, poor, I'm clueless. All right, so anyone else not voted? Okay. So you've got 45% are great, 27% are fair, 27% are poor. So over half are having challenges with this. So for those who say great, or they look at their data regularly. So who's one of those people on the call? You are Monica. Okay. So Monica, can you explain what you look at regularly and what are the key things that you try to look for in your business?
So basically it's that, what you showed, those KPIs. So where are we with our inventory spend? What's our depreciation look like? Making sure now that we've hit, it takes a few years to build it up. So I would say in year 5 or year 6, we hit sort of a plateau for inventory. When we have more, then there's a concern we need to reduce, or we need to know we should stop sourcing or looking at sourcing. We look at weekly revenue as compared to our fixed cost infrastructure. So that's lease for the truck. We assign a value to the van. We have people, we have the warehouse space. And so we take a look at, well, where are we month to date to be, to be above the curve, if you will. So there's no profit in a month until all those fixed cost numbers are
Okay.
dealt with.
So are you okay if I share your benchmark with the group?
Sure.
And walk them through
Yeah.
it? Okay,
Yeah.
so and last year you guys had a good year. and I've shared this with Ally and you so far. So if you guys can see, not a lot of red here. You know, if I looked at this, and you and I haven't discussed this, and I've got employees here as well. You're above the benchmark revenue. You know, the thing that jumps out at me is your inventory. And again, one of the things, and I'm gonna put notes on this, the inventory from last August when I asked for that poll. So, and what we're looking for is your at cost non-depreciation. What is your total inventory? Is that number still close, or has it gone up from there? You're on mute. You're on mute. There we
Sorry, it's actually a little bit lower than that right now. I think it's around 575-ish.
That's better, but Ally was talking about one reason your owner benefit wasn't as high was that inventory, that you spent some money on inventory last year, correct? So your update margins look a little lower than they should be. You're moving auto, and sometimes I see franchises where moving may be high, but your rent may be low because they have a truck involved or something like it, but you have to look at the whole thing. But that looks like it's a little higher. So when I look at this, I would say inventory moving, it may be, do you need to, and that, I think that's one of the things we need to really start to analyze. And you and I have talked about this before, is the inventory that you have hurting? Do you have inventory that is not going out generating revenue? Do you need to purge inventory? And I see a lot of you guys having sales right now. Do you need to start to spend some time? As a former buyer, I spent lots of time analyzing inventory turn and moving stuff in and out. That seems like that's one of the areas. And so as I go through this little chart, you can see, the same stuff we talked about in a different way. But you can also see your benchmark comparison. So you're pretty good on everything. I don't know. I'd also probably fix what other is. I'm not sure what's going on there. You do more restyles in other markets, but Monica and Ally, have you guys had a chance? I know I just said this to you Friday afternoon. Have you had a chance to look through this at all?
I did look at it. My guess is some of the owner benefit is lost in what we pay ourselves. So I got to look at that. I didn't drill down on that number. And also, I guess that other category for us, that would probably be the interior design sales. And
I'd say that in consults. I think consults are probably in that bucket because we do a lot of consults.
Yeah.
So, and again, if I think one of the other FAC members said the owner benefit was off. So I'm off. I'm just, this is what I'm getting from your P&Ls. So
yeah, and I'm a big believer in, look, whatever. So again, getting back to your theme, that this is a dashboard to tell you may or may not have a problem. It isn't supposed to be the final look of the granularity. So to me, you sent this and I said, oh, okay, this is an interesting way of looking at it. If I don't agree with this number, let me go explore. Am I recording it in the wrong place? Is it an accurate number and I need to do something about it? But I think the way that you have set this up is we have a process for how we record everything. This is how it flows up into our analytical tools. And this is what the analytical tools say. If you need to do more research, then here, drill down on it, figure it out.
Okay, that's good to know. Chris Gulliver, you brought up insurance should be one of the ratios that we look at. Is that right? We could break down by WC. I'm Phil stupid. What do you mean by that?
Workers' comp.
Workers' comp. Okay, I want to make sure everyone was clear. And me, business liability, and also included insurance paid to show homes corporate. Okay. So you think that would be useful to have?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it has to be a benchmark KPI, but I know it's a pretty good expense after all of these. These are all good. Certainly rent, payroll are big ones, but I just reclassified my workers' comp, and it cut it in half from, I was paying 16,000. Now, we're in California, so that may explain it, but I paid $16,000 in workers' comp last year for, what, 6 part-time employees, but I cut it in half. So, that's $8,000 a year we're saving there. So, those
How
are.
you did this? How you did, Chris?
Yeah.
Because we pay a lot of workers.
Yeah.
comp
So,
actually. How you
well,
did that?
I just shop. Unfortunately, they're very strict about workers' comp. You can't change in the middle of your policy year. But when it comes to renewal, I like 2 months before, start shopping other vendors, and I went out to 3 different brokers and got quotes from all of them, and it ranged from one came back at $32,000 a year, which was twice as much as what I was paying before, to around 8,000. So you just got to shop the insurance. So.
And who did you end up with? Some local guy?
No, actually, I am still using, was it Nova?
Okay.
Yeah, but I got 2 local, quotes, and it turns out they were still cheaper with Nova, so I went with them.
The classification of your workers is critically important. And there's a certain amount of art in that as well. What I've always been told is that it is what is the predominant type of task that the workers do. So if you have a stager, sometimes they're moving furniture, other times they're picking stuff from the warehouse. There's a certain design element. So they can conceivably fall into any number of different categories, just as an example. And understanding which one is more favorably priced and building a case to support that should be the proper classification is worth a little bit of effort.
So if you guys aren't using Villanova, their info is in Showpedia. It seems like a majority of people work with them, but that's I'd have a conversation. Sounds like Chris has brought up a good point. Let's see. Leanne had a question. Can we break down gross revenue by number of territories as well? I guess you could. Part of me, this was all done manually by me. This took a long time to put together. So I'm sitting like, that'd be exhausting. And I guess you could. Part of me is thinking kind of like what Monica brought up. This is just intended to be kind of a tool, and you can break it down however you want to. But
maybe you could just let people know that top performer how many territories that is, because as I was looking at it, it's sort of like, well, is that 5 territories? Well, then my gross numbers look really good. If that's 2 territories, then it really changes.
Okay, I can add that to the notes. And so
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that top benchmark is just 1 territory. It might be 2 now. Didn't you say that benchmark is in Florida?
no, the benchmark is you guys.
Oh, just a combination of all of us.
No, it's you guys, Raleigh, San Diego, and let me look at my presentation.
Coral Gables.
And Coral Gables.
Coral Gables.
Yeah, so
that's what the yellow is. That yellow
that's the yellow. And
is the median of the group.
Yeah, of the 4.
Gotcha.
That's the average. And so you've got
So if you're looking, Leanne, to answer your question, then if you're looking at the blue comparison, our territory, we have 2.
right.
Yeah, I think on the ops report tab, there is a tab for per territory, Leanne, which would get to the core of your question in terms of how your revenues compare.
But yeah, I can put in the notes, I mean, San Diego's 3 territories, I believe. Mainline's 2, Coral Gables, Miami's 2, and Raleigh is 1, so,
Raleigh's 2.
or 2 rather, you're right, 2, okay, I forgot, yeah. So I'll put that in the notes. So. And if anyone else wants, I know this is kind of like personal info, not many people may want to share this, but if you want to, I can pull it up now if you have questions or. Just, I'm kind of curious, thoughts in general, does this look like something you guys would like me to send you? Would you like to see this a couple times a year? And is this something, a tool that would be helpful? You can put it in the chat or you can tell me either way.
I'd like to have it.
All right, here's Nancy. Okay, thanks, Nancy. I got a yes, definitely, yes. I don't know why you wouldn't, but okay. All right, well, all right, well, I will send this out to everyone this week. Okay, there's one more thing to cover.
I guess, Matt, the only thing I think is missing is number of units. That's why I asked you that question earlier in the chat. Were you asking a percentage of our revenue based on the revenue breakup or unit breakup? And you said, I believe your reply was.
That
you
was
wish to
a
break out
different
units.
question, or that was a different question earlier. I was asking your mix by service category year to date. Just what like how many houses do you have out? What percentage of houses out? So that really wasn't on the benchmark.
No, but I understand that, but maybe it should be. Because that kind of gets to Leanne's question, like how can she compare herself to a benchmark if she's the single unit and we're all multiple units?
Right. Yeah, I mean, we can look at per unit as well. So I can look at it, updating that. So that, I think that's fair.
I guess
I think it's only the average gross revenue that would need to be updated per unit because the rest are like ratios. So
Right.
it's really only that top one. But I mean, I think it's like really difficult for a single unit to come in and be like, I should be getting $1 million in my single unit when everybody that this is compared to is at least 2 units.
Well, I'll just add a line under average gross revenue that shows revenue per territory.
Yeah, I think that's enough. And then people can kind of figure it out for themselves.
Okay. But in general, I mean, I'll be sending out the presentation. So if you have just questions or feedback or additional things that you want to see, let me know. Okay, so there's one last thing I want to talk about. It's I want to talk about local territory reviews. You know, Bert mentioned penetration levels. So when we create a demographic, I know you guys, just as a refresher, this is for Charlotte, but when we create a territory, they're based on zip codes. And so you can see the top is 28211 is a zip code. The bottom, you know, that 300K that's the number of homes in the last census, and then realtor numbers at the, you know, when we did this like in March. So just to, you know, they had 38,000 when we created this territory, 1,000 homes for sale. Now, we also create a territory map that shows.
Matt, just to clarify, that's 1,000 homes.
For sale that are
actively
300.
listed that are 300 or over in price.
Right, at that current time. So, and we normally want 800, 1,200. And so that's a lower inventory number, but that's what they had at that time. So, and I'm not sure if we did this with Maptitude for all you guys when we did your territory, since it's been a few years, but we also look at the total number of home values. And so you can see the blue is 300 to 500,000, the green is 500,000 to 1 million, and purple is a million plus. And so the bigger the little sideways rectangles, the bigger, the more densely populated. So for Emily, I think she lives in the southern part of Mecklenburg County, so that's pretty densely populated. Then you go to the Charlotte area above it, then you go north of that, you get to Lake Oz, is it whatever that, Lake Norman and some of that other areas. But you can see from to the east, it's looks like farmland or non-developed areas. And so what we're going to put together and we're going to send to you guys, and this may be a little hard to see, but we did this with Minneapolis. The blue circles are homes contracted in the last 24 months. There's 3 territories in Minneapolis. And then you can see the value. So one of the things we figured out when we had a conversation with them recently is I don't know why, but I guess both of us were in the impression they had all of Hennepin County. So we need to we're updating their territory right now to include this. But it's also, taking a look at where's your business, but also are you, Bert brought up the penetration level. So if I'm looking at this territory, clearly the northern part, that Maple Grove, Plymouth, they're not doing any business, frankly, there. They're doing a little bit in the southern territory. It looks like the bulk is in the central part of Hennepin County. And so, we bring this up just to show you, are you, especially if you have multiple territories, are you, measuring your penetration levels? Are there specific areas that you need to develop where you need to build relationships? Do we need to adjust your territory? We see this with different, franchises. We've done this before as well. So, Bert, I know this is one of your exciting hot buttons, penetration levels. I didn't put a spreadsheet. Do you have any thoughts or feedback on that topic?
Well, it seems like we naturally follow our realtor fans where they go. And if there are a lot of target homes in a large area, it's probably because we have not developed the realtor relationships with people who focus in that part of town. So to me, it does suggest a real opportunity. Now, to balance that out, it could be, and Minneapolis is a big city. If the transportation logistics are too hard to get from here to there, then there's opportunity to sell that to somebody who's located more favorably to work that territory. But the blue territory, just as an example, clearly is not providing value based on the last 2 years' experience.
So, and
Well, okay, so I guess,
okay, go ahead.
so my feedback is this is interesting, very interesting data. We are in an interesting dynamic, however, my opinion of the real estate market, because we've just come off a multi-decade, generationally low interest rate environment, and we're in a much higher interest rate environment. So the areas that we're farming today just are not going, in my opinion, are not going to be as productive, because people who have already bought in are not going to be selling because they have a low interest rate. So they're kind of stuck in their home unless there's some other pressing priority in their lives. So for instance, one of the things I think we should be looking at is, well, what are the number of houses for sale above your targeted price? In the Philadelphia, in our zip codes, right now, there's only 126 homes above $850,000, either active or pending, or excuse me, active or coming soon. That's just not very many units to farm.
I would like, yeah, Monica, you are very right on this. And what I'm seeing, a lot of territories, so in our experience, we have portion of territories that they're just recently developed, all new developments. So new builders, so they are not selling, and we know right now they are not on the market. So it's not about us not spending more time on that territory, It's just there's no need for our services. They are on the market, they are new constructions. They just sold, nobody's selling them, so it's not about us. So selling out this territory, this portion of territory will not be fair to the fellow one that will buy those, and they will not know that this is the situation. So this is one thing. The second would be the fact that, as Matt says, when they did this divisions was like over 300,000. Right now, there is no homes 300,000 on the market. So the bench should be over 500, the number of the homes on the market, at least because just for us in the last 3 years, the average homes on the market literally doubled. And the 300,000 was made 10 years ago or more. So it's not, I don't think it's correct to calculate the penetration and how well we do in a market with a false data, because maybe that 48,000 homes available for us to as a market, now they are just 20,000 or less.
Correct.
Well,
So I
we
guess what
changed.
we're saying is maybe the model needs to be adjusted.
Well, no, we have adjusted. With our original model was 300,000. Now we look at the top 25% of home values. And so that's every house. And so we have some markets where it's 750,000 above. It just depends.
Well, there's also a difference in the timing of the census data. We use the community survey data, which is updated annually, but then they take an average of a 5-year look back. So the current numbers today, when they're released, are close to 3 years old. And with the market we've been through, that creates a dramatic understatement of today's values when we're looking at census data that far back. That's the best that's available for it. So we're stuck with it.
Okay.
So I put in a poll, I just shared it with you. How often do you review your contracted homes penetration levels? Monthly, 25%, quarterly, 38, annually, 13, never 25. So I think it looks like it's kind of a fairly split between regularly and not very often. But again, this is just another tool for you guys to analyze your business. And so, I know some people have maps of the metro area and they put push pins, kind of old school. I used to do that with my franchise years ago. Is this, put in the chat, is this useful? Would you like to see this information as far as your homes contracted in the last 24 months compared and where your home values are across your market? So
yes, absolutely, yes.
Okay, so I got lots of yeses. Okay. Well, we will provide. Go ahead.
How much effort is it to generate this data?
Well, Christy does it, so it's no effort for me, but it'll take some time. But and it could be, we need to have a conversation on your territory and adjust it if there have been some changes. I mean,
Well, let me say, I've done a number of these over the years as well, and what's most time consuming is when we're dealing with bad data, addresses that have typos or they don't, they're not specific enough. So our mapping software will automatically pick up the location of a lot of homes. That's trivial amount of work. It's just, straight from an Excel data download. But if somebody has the wrong zip code, then we've got to go one to one and figure out, do we guess what the zip code is? Do we, how do we reconcile? So
Can you just ignore it?
It's very easy.
Can you just ignore it when it doesn't make sense?
You could, but sometimes that's over half the homes contracted when I've done it in the past. Yeah, a lot of bad data.
So
one other thing I'll comment, to the extent y'all find this very helpful, if you can access your MLS and figure out how to do a current download of listings, that can be put into an Excel spreadsheet, and then following through with the mapping is very easy to do. But that takes everyone dealing with their individual MLS, since there is no national access that we can get our hands on, and there are different MLS systems out there, so we can't even say, here's the exact procedure you go through. We don't know your MLS, but I have found that extremely helpful in the past. And then you can ask other questions. You can say, well, show me a map of the homes over X price that have been on the market for more than 3 months. There, you can, there's a lot of analytical power here within your MLS that we can harness if we can get it in a spreadsheet.
Would it be possible for you to create a spreadsheet such that, you sort of say like, if you can get the data out of your MLS and paste in, these columns, then it would spit out a bunch of interesting metrics like that about like good homes for us to target or good areas for us to cultivate or things like that?
You're talking about creating a template?
Yeah.
I think we can take a shot at creating a template. I'd also suggest that we have a lot of smart people in our system, and I'd like very much to be hearing your feedback about what you'd like to see, and let's try to service what you think is going to be most valuable for you.
And by the way, so Shelley, I think Pratt may be very disappointed and angry he didn't attend this. This may be his favorite call of all time. So
I think you're going to be right about it. Luckily, there's a recording.
he'll be talking to the recording, wanting to chime in, but I'm sure he'll send me his feedback.
Oh, you know it, Matt.
Oh yeah, I will. So we talked about just, because we're past time. We talked about, casting a wider net. We talked about our KPI, our top performer metrics, and then we talked about, the territory maps and mapping out your territory. So, I think one of the just last things, and so this will be the last thing I talk to you about till September or so, is the old thing that I from the entrepreneur book, working on your business instead of in your business. And so I think you guys are so busy, a lot of times you're so focused on working in it and getting stuff done, and you need to schedule some time to work on your business regularly, because this is the stuff that makes a big impact. So I'm going to ask the new performance group meetings. I also go to a performance group with Angela Cote's group for franchisors, and they always end. There's a weekly call. But what are your key takeaways, TKAs? So I think that'll be helpful for all of us. So from the call today, what are your key takeaways from today? So each of you could put that in there. I think that would be good just for us to know. 1, 2, 3, whatever the number is. What are your core takeaways? Hopefully you had some takeaways. And by the way, so we're while I'm waiting for you to do that, so we're going to be in Dallas next time we talk. We're going to be going to John Aaron's to see his warehouse and his office, which is really nice. So I think that will be good. That's how we'll start, and we've got a lot. We'll be sharing a agenda for the call soon. So Liliana likes the top producers benchmark. John, the benchmark as well, optimizing profitability. Nancy Rowie, insights from corporate help with market penetration and benchmarks. Good. What else is, let's see, and understanding ratios, drilling into KPIs. Emily, knowing your numbers, profit suit needs to be at the top of my priority list. So hopefully everyone maybe when business slows down, you do the profit soup. I think you'll really like it. See, Monica, Mainline's doing pretty good, but can do better in tracking and analyzing results, trying to increase market penetration, work with our bookkeeper, understand what other revenue categories. I'd say for all of you guys, if you have anything in other, if you can work on that for us and for yourselves, I think that would be good. So,
And if any of you have other miscellaneous, that's even worse.
okay. Well, awesome. Well, I hope today was helpful for you guys. You know, I think these calls have been pretty good, you know, in the last, since we started them. So we've got a lot of good feedback. So if we don't talk this rest of the month, have a good rest of your June, and we will see you in Big D shortly. All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate the time. Bye.
Thank you.